You're out of practice today?
Yeah, they had 2 practices out there. Interesting. Seems like the talent here at the Senior Bowl this year is a little bit watered down. I think because of the extended college football playoffs, a bunch of guys bagged out at the last second that would normally be here. But still worthwhile. And of course, the whole NFL world just about is here.
Okay, so what's the feeling on the Patriots you get from NFL types?
So, talking to some league executives today, they're excited about the direction that the Patriots are going. They still don't understand exactly what they were doing last year or what the point of last year was. Talking to one league executive in particular, he was pretty high on the Patriots and their ability to bounce back this year, both because of Vrabel, but also because of what's going on in the division with the Jets starting over, sort of an unknown in Aaron Glenn. New GM as well, and Miami seems to be sort of teetering on the brink, stuff going on with Tyreek. So, obviously the Bills are the king of the division, and that's not really going to change. But between Vrabel, McDaniels, and the schedule/division, people are pretty high on the Patriots being able to bounce back and get back into it rather quickly.
All right, so the schedule, again, I would agree with that. It looks nice. From at least at this time, it looks conducive to the Patriots and a turnaround. Greg, what's your view of the staff so far and what they've done?
Yeah, Mike, I've heard you guys talking, especially about possible Kraft influence with McDaniels and things like that. And I would love to push back on what you have to say. But with each passing hire, especially actually solely on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, because Vrabel is getting his people on defense. And the rumor down here is that Vrabel's going to call defensive plays, at least to start. Again, I don't know if that's true. But as far as the offensive staff goes, with each hire, I'm getting more and more uneasy the way things are set up from this viewpoint. I think the world of Josh McDaniels. And by the way, let me tell you that I haven't talked to anybody directly involved. This is just my sort of working hypotheses. I think the world of McDaniels, I think he'll do a really good job. I do think that Doug Marrone hiring, I assume he's going to be the chief offensive line coach. I think it's a decent hire. It's not as let's say Adrian Clem is like right field. This is more probably center field. I mean, they're McDaniels and Marrone are tangentially related as far as football goes. I mean, Marrone is more of a Sean Payton guy, but Sean Payton and McDaniels are pretty similar as far as their scheme and their beliefs and how they block things up. I think that, and Marrone is also extremely close with Bill O'Brien, like best friends, goes back decades. Their wives are best friends. So I'm sure McDaniels and Bill O'Brien have come across each other and probably get along. But the way I look at this, between Marrone, which is not exactly McDaniels' hire on the offensive line, to me, I think he would be more comfortable with people that he's been with before. I don't know if those people were options or not. And we'll see where they go with wide receivers coach, really offensive line and wide receivers were the 2 big hires that I was looking for to give me some indication which ways things are going. So I think Marrone's a good coach, and people down here think a lot of him, think they'll work well together, that it'll be a good fit. I do wonder about, between Marrone being a head coach before, Thomas Brown, who Vrabel brought in, Marrone has also been an offensive coordinator before. Thomas Brown has been an offensive coordinator before. When you put together a few McDaniels hires, plus having 2 former offensive coordinators on staff, it gets me to thinking about, maybe this was a shotgun marriage arranged by the Krafts, and Vrabel's leaving himself out with 2 other possibilities on staff in case it doesn't work in the first year.
Okay. Don't love it, Greg. Don't love it. It's like it's not being allowed to be reshaped in Mike Vrabel's image yet.
Yeah, but I do think Vrabel and McDaniels have alignment as far as their vision of a football team and how you need to win. I think they both see things really similar. And I know people like Bird have talked about the personality fit. I don't really subscribe to that. They're both sort of alphas and they believe what they believe. and want to do things their way. But I mean, look, Josh was under Bill for how long and took direction from Bill. I think he'll be fine doing it again. That's not where my issue is. It's more of, and we went through this with the Adrian Clem hire, with Bill O'Brien. Like, if you're going to let these guys do it, give them the offensive line coach, because they are very much intertwined. Basically, the way they do it in this system, in McDaniels' system, O'Brien's the same way. The offensive line coach is responsible for basically like drawing up the protections and the runs for that week. This is our game plan. This is what we want to do. You draw it up. And I'm sure they can work together, Marrone and McDaniels, but I just don't think it's an ideal fit.
And you're sort of implying that Marrone wasn't really a commodity out there. Like I heard Doug Marrone. I'm like, that's a really high-end sort of solution there. Former head coach.
That's how I felt.
A lot of experience, a lot of credentials, super experienced, again, on the offensive line, his bread and butter. Like, that's a high-end sort of hire. You're implying that he was kind of out of the league for a reason when it comes to that.
Well, I do think, from talking to people down here, the Saints were definitely done with him. He was fired by the Saints after the 2023 season. Doing some research on Marrone, looking back on his offensive lines, I can't really think of too many good offensive linemen that he's coached or developed. One example of a guy that the Saints weren't exactly happy with his development was Trevor Penning in New Orleans, who did not exactly flourish under Marrone. Now, that being said, Marrone is a tough SOB. He can be abrasive, just like Vrabel, just like McDaniels, just like Dante Scarnecchia, and I prefer my offensive line coaches to be a little bit of sandpaper, but I do think that Marrone has a lot to prove in terms of development, and we're not talking about a veteran offensive line. We're talking about not a total rebuild. Certainly at the tackles, they have to rebuild. I think the interior, they'll probably retain a bunch of guys and try to develop them, but I think development's going to be huge. And is Marrone good at that? I don't know. And then there's the other guy, Hoftalling, that was with Vrabel in Tennessee, who's the assistant offensive line coach now in New England. Not great reviews for him in Tennessee either. So, a lot to be proven on the offensive line, which to me is, as you know, I think is the whole ball game. If you don't have that as a basis for an offense, forget about it.
Okay, again, Greg's going to be joining us here for the next 2 hours. You want to join the conversation on anything Patriots-related or conference title game-related, have at it, 617-779-0985. Before we go to the breaks, Greg and the phones, any thoughts on the conference championship weekend? What stood out to you most? What would you want to hit on?
I mean, look, the Chiefs are obviously the story until they're not the story. I mean, what Mahomes has done so early in his career is incredible. And, basically that they've had to rely on him offensively is certainly a counter to what Brady did early in his career. Not to take anything from Brady. I mean, his clutchness and what he did, but just Mahomes has had to carry this team, and they really, don't have any business doing it. And I do think the Bills, I think again, coaching has let them down as far as McDermott. I thought Joe Brady, came out pretty conservative, especially in the second half. I thought they needed to put the pedal down a little bit more. And, and on the other side, the Eagles, provided Jalen Hurts played like he did in the conference championship game, they have everything. They have all the ingredients to beat the Chiefs, especially their physicality up front. We'll see if Landon Dickerson is able to play. That would be huge one way or the other. But I do like the Eagles' chances in this game. I think they match up really well.
Okay, again, Greg Bedard on your phones. You can weigh in on the conference title games. You can go back to that. Chiefs, Patriots. Greg's commentary on the staff. I don't know how the elevator doesn't go all the way to the top there for the big boy. Is this staff being thrown together? Arranged marriages, fully Mike Vrabel's vision and decision making, and how do we feel about all that?
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Mazz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.